So it's a beautiful morning in the middle of winter. Sun is shining, about 42 degrees at the moment, and I've got a special pass out from the boss that I can go out and do some photography. So I'm heading up onto the Cotswolds, just driving past the pig farm that I used to point out to people on tours of the Cotswolds. As far as I'm aware, these pigs are actually owned by the Duchy of Cornwall, or farmed on behalf of the Duchy of Cornwall. So they're very high quality pigs, and I love the little piglets. Apple sauce, yum yum. Actually, it's a little bit chilly out here this morning. Just thought I'd fly the drone up through this little valley across the very upper reaches of the River Colne that flows into the Thames. This hillside once was full of sheep, and I had some people from the US here, and they were amazed to see all these sheep. I said I was surprised that sheep weren't farmed more in the US, and they said, oh, it's because we have predators. And of course, I'd never even thought of that before, but it's true. So back in the old days when we had wolves, the shepherds would have been out in the fields protecting the sheep, and they would have lived in their cots, hence the word Cotswolds. So here are the upper reaches of the River Colne. And they go on up through here to Withington. Such a lovely valley, this, spoilt only by these power lines. I've always thought how nice it must be to live in this house in the middle of the forest. Being a bit of an introvert myself, looks so different in the winter to in the summer when the leaves are on the trees. What a gorgeous house this is in Compton Abdale. People always used to be scared stiff when I came along here. They used to think it was private land, and I used to pretend it was. And but there's a lovely big house at the end, and in the spring you get all these sheep and lambs in this area here. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is the village of Salperton. As I say, I think it's owned by the estate. You can often tell that by seeing that all the colours of the doors and the windows are all the same. Lovely little village. You've seen it from above. Now you can see it from ground level. It's a lovely little place. And a beautiful setting for these houses here. Absolutely lovely. Breeze has picked up a little bit actually, but walked out into this field and I'm flying the drone across towards Guiting Power. Strange name, I know, but it's a very old village in the Cotswolds. Guiting is thought to be something to do with the source of water, and power is derived from the name of a family, I believe, who owned land here. But that may be just an old wives' tale, or should I say an old husband's tale, because you know I like to be very woke. Anyway, the village is beautiful, and I'll drive up through there in a minute. In a month or 6 weeks, this little plot of land will be full of sheep and lambs, close by to Guiting Power. Just driving into the village now, past the church, flying the English flag. Delightful little place, Farmer's Arms. Bit of scaffolding up on that cottage. I'm just going to hop out here for a minute. Absolutely lovely little square, or whatever you want to call it here. I've just been into this place here, the Cotswold Guy they call it, and it's like a farm shop. Used to be the old bakery that was run by Dorothy and her son, who both passed away now, sadly. Dorothy was 102 and was still working up to a couple of years ago. This is the old post office, and it actually still is a post office once a week when the mobile post office comes to the village. Catch it at the right time of year and this wall is absolutely full of flowers. Smashing. For those of you who love the sheep, there are plenty of them here. Right, well, we're now flying over a field full of Brussels sprouts by the look of it, but I've always liked the way the land lies here. The way the land folds in on each other itself. Fortunately, I'm inside the car because it's a bit chilly out there actually. Coming back now. back over the sprouts again. Just driving down into Chipping Camden, and this little stretch of road here is beautiful with these thatched cottages here. Also a couple of lovely houses that are not thatched, but like the one right in front of us now. It's beautiful, lovely garden. And the one behind it, the post box you see here, the red post box on the left, is a Victorian post box. And the other house, which I always think is pretty stunning, is the one in front of us now, with all the sculpted hedging. Lovely place. Just about to turn right into Chipping Camden High Street. What I like about Chipping Camden, unlike the nearby Broadway, which is an absolute tourist mecca, Chipping Camden is always strikes me as a real little town, and as such I love it, and people I bring here seem to like it as well. Oh, it's all a bit narrow here, isn't it? What are you gonna do, sir? I come up this way mainly because I want to park, and it looks a bit manic here today. Well, why I like the countryside is because you just can't get away from the cars. Traffic everywhere, and these places have just had to adapt to it. But it's not exactly pleasant. But this is one of the typical Cotswold views that you see. Yeah, it's the Chipping Camden Market Hall. Built in 1627, so not that old really. Haha, not compared with some places. So that's the only town I'm planning to go in today. Actually, I may just drive through Broadway, but if you just look here on your left, you can see a thatched roof, and it's almost like it's slipping off where those people are now. It's slipping off onto them. I always think this is the most stunning of views here. From the top of the Cotswold escarpment, looking due north, sort of in a Birmingham direction really, but towards the Vale of Evesham, which is a major fruit growing area in this country. This cottage has a stunning view. This is the view that cottage has got, looking due north, so it doesn't get a lot of sun in the winter. And always interested in that flat topped hill in the distance, but you come down off of the Cotswold escarpment and it is then very flat below, all the way up to Birmingham and beyond. So this is Broadway, really unlike any of the other Cotswold towns. It's almost looks like it's been built for tourists. Not that there'll be many of them around, sadly, for the last couple of years. It's not a horrible place or anything, it just doesn't feel lived in to me. Spend a lot of time waiting around here for people in that car park over there on the right. Just coming into the beautiful little village of Stanton, which is, I would strictly say, is not in the Cotswolds, because if you can see the massive hill behind here, that is the Cotswolds. That is the Cotswold escarpment. So Stanton nestles beneath that, but nevertheless it's a lovely little place. And if you want to buy a house here, you better have got a lot of money. But once again, with any of these places, it's there's lots of cars around, unfortunately. Oh, and horses. It's a rather horsey place, this. You can hear something slopping around. It's my bottle of water. Are they going to let me through or not? Maybe not. So these are lovely little cottages here. I'm going to go partially up the hill. Where there is a pub with a fantastic view. Is a bit of a play on words. It's called the Mount Inn, but I'm not allowed to go in there at the moment. It's shut. I was hoping to get a photo from the top, but you can probably judge from this that it's a beautiful spot. I should have been here when the horses again. Should have been here when the pub was open, but then I might have been distracted, mightn't I? If you're visiting the Cotswolds, albeit, as I say, this isn't strictly the Cotswolds, this is definitely a little village to visit and to walk around. This place on the right is one of my favourite black and white houses. As you can see, lovely place. So, as I say, Stanton is actually not on the Cotswolds as such. It's down at the foot of the Cotswold escarpment, and this is a brilliant example of how that escarpment looks that we're flying up with the drone. Quite steep, sheep everywhere, And if you look over in the distance, you'll see the little village of Stanton itself, which is where we were a little earlier. I love this little avenue of trees. Looks different in every season, as you can imagine. This is the local Stanway cricket club, and you will notice that the cricket pavilion is built on these stones that are like mushrooms. They're actually called stattle stones, and I always ask people what they think the purpose of these stones is and why this building is built on top of things that look like mushrooms as to just being built on posts. Well, the answer is basically to keep out the vermin, to keep out the rats. The rats couldn't get up around the mushroom bit, so hopefully the old buildings that were built like this were rat free. And finally for today, this is the beautiful privately owned Stanway Manor, just a little way along the road from Stanton. Absolutely gorgeous place. You have the church here, and this is all very popular with weddings because there's an old barn right next door, so people can get married in here and then have their reception in the barn. These churches were all manor churches. They were built by the lords of the manor, and their workers were obliged to go to church every Sunday, put money in the collection, which was then directed back to the lord of the manor. But then if you had gates to your house like this, you maybe didn't really need the paltry sum of money that your workers were putting into the collection every week. I'm not sure that that would be his lordship's car. A Toyota Yaris? Don't think so. Anyway, I think that's about it now. The sun is rather low, and won't be too long before it's dark. That clock is not telling the right time. It's actually about 3:30, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed at least some of this. And they have an atmospheric fountain, and I can never remember how high it is, but it's the highest atmospheric fountain in the world, which goes off at certain times. People will probably ask me how old these houses are. I'm going to say maybe 1600s. Can't see any dates on them. It could be around that date. It's a nice little cottage. Starkey's cottage. Maybe Ringo lives here.